Hey all, welcome back. Today we're going to do some surrealism, paint a fishbowl in a tree. This is a sketch from when I was a little boy. I thought I'd revive for today's drawing. In order to do this, we're going to go to Image, Import, Image File to Layer. So that's File, Import Image File to Layer, and I have this piece of plywood. I took this photo in my backyard and made it the exact same size as the canvas I wanted to work on and just imported it as a layer into this document, and then I can work right on top of it. I'm using the preset for the pencil, the Thin Precise Liner. It's a really nice, very elegant pencil preset. I think it does really good work. It just is really fun to draw with. So that's one of my favorites, and you can use whatever you want. You can use the pencil, you can use the pen, you can use whatever tool you want to do your line work. And the reason I wanted to show you this today is because I oftentimes will do pen and watercolor on top of actual plywood when I do traditional painting, and I thought this would be super cool to do in Artrage, and it works really, really well. So again, just using pencil on top of plywood. The pencil layer is a separate layer, so make sure you have one layer for your background graphic and then another layer on top for your pencil work. That's really important. And then what we're going to do is duplicate that layer once we get all this done. Sort of my way of drawing is very light-handed. I draw with a soft mark, and so if I ever want to darken that mark, instead of having to redraw everything, what I'll do is simply click on my layers palette and then duplicate the layer, and that gives me the density and darkness without having to really work in a different way that's comfortable for me. What we're going to do now is add another layer, and this one's just for our color. I'm going to put that underneath our ink layer or our line work, and we're going to set that layer to blend, or that layer's blend mode to multiply. And to multiply is really cool because what it lets you do is get the benefit of all the color and the interactions of the color, but it also lets all the texture and color interactions on layers below that layer to show through. So in this case, multiply. From the layer palette, you can click blend modes, multiply, and you get this awesome benefit. It literally looks like you're watercoloring on top of real wood, but all you're doing is using a marker. And in this case, the marker is set to use the blending markers, which are just sort of like, they're kind of like the professional artist markers, and they work really well. You never have to worry about replacing any of those super expensive markers when doing it in Artrage. So the other thing I'm trying to do is getting some unity in my piece from the background texture, but also I'm thinking about spheres and circles because this whole thing was based around this fishbowl idea. So I'm using a lot of repetition of circles. I have the sphere in the fishbowl, I have the circle in the moon in the sky, and I'm using a lot of circular dots. Just when I'm putting pigment down using the marker, I'm putting it down in little circles to create texture. And that overall, that theme is to create some unity in this kind of surrealistic image. I'm also using what's called an analogous color scheme. That's just blue, purple, and green. Those are just colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. And you get all those together and they look really nice together. So this whole theme was just to do something that was fun and kind of imaginative, but also didn't get too crazy with the colors. So I am going to use a little color pop just in the fish. I'll make them sort of the complement of the blue. That's kind of the dominant color here, the blue-green. I'm going to use sort of an orange-red as the focus color for the pop of the fish. And there you go. This marker tool is so awesome. It blends really naturally. You get a lot of control and a lot of really realistic blending. So it feels a little bit like paint in the sense that it blends, but it's really a lot like drawing because it's just really nice fancy markers. Now I'm using one separate layer here for the highlights so that I don't lose the saturation. So I'm using a separate layer to do all my whites, and I'm not multiplying that layer. That layer is just kind of sitting on top of everything but the line work. Now I'm putting reflections in the fishbowl and using the palette knife with the frost preset on the palette knife to do some more blending that adds to that kind of repetition of circles theme that I've got. And then I'm going to add this kind of violet layer that's overlaid on top of everything. I used another blend mode, and this one's called overlay, to add this kind of violet texture to everything, make it look like a nighttime scene. So there you have it. I hope you've had a lot of fun watching this. This is a really simple tutorial as long as you know how to find the palette knife, know how to use some layers, and use your marker and pencil tool. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for checking out the video. This is the kind of stuff I really like to do. You can find more of it on my YouTube, my Instagram, and my Twitch channel by searching Mambo Bond or Daniel Ibanez. Thank you so much, and take care.